All right, it's early in the morning. It's time to show up. I'm showing up. I'm glad you showed up. I appreciate every single one of you. Do the little YouTube dance. Like, comment, subscribe, all that happy horse shit. I've been seeing a whole lot of people pushing on the garbage farting computer machine, and they want you to use generative AI, and I want to tell you, I want to tell you that the best thing you could possibly do is what I'm doing, which is what literally everybody would tell you. Because if it's the best thing you could possibly be doing, obviously I should be doing it. If I know it's the best thing you should be doing, why am I not doing it, right? If you tell people this is the right thing to do, the first thing they should ask is, are you doing that? And if you're not, they should ask you why. And you shouldn't stammer or stutter or have trouble explaining. Anyway, the best thing you can do is to create something all by yourself without the assistance of AI to show everybody that thinks they need AI that no, they don't. They really don't. It's not productive. It's not useful. You don't need this garbage. It's not going to make things better. In fact, it's counterproductive. The way I see AI being productive and useful is if you download an open source AI implementation and install an ethically trained model. I don't know where you get an ethically trained model. I don't think we have an ethically trained model yet. And it's literally going to take millions of hours of computer time. But we do have tens of thousands of people working on it. So if a bunch of people got together and said, you know what, we should do this, it'd only take them a couple of weeks to produce an ethical AI model that you could use. It wouldn't take all that long. They could do it in a month. It'd burn a lot of computer time, but, you know. That's one of the things that really upsets me about it. It's the people. The people are fucking up. It's not the machine that's fucking up. It's the people. It's the people who decided that they were going to steal the training material to train the machine with. And they knew it was wrong when they did it, and now that they've gotten caught and everybody's gone, hey, that was wrong, you shouldn't have done that. They're like, oh, well, guess we'll keep using the thing we stole. No, that's unethical. You need to throw that out, and you need to start over. You need to use ethically sourced training material. You need to have permission. You need to compensate people who demand compensation or just don't use their stuff. And a number of things will come out of that. And one of the things that's going to come out of that is the recognition that the artists whose work has been stolen to go into the machine are not making a meaningful difference to the operation of the machine. It's like you stole all of these paintings and you put them in the machine, and now you could say, in the style of X artist. And that's great, okay? But if you didn't do that, the machine would be pretty much just as good as it already is for everything outside of that. I mean, if you put all of Michael Whalen's dragon paintings into the machine, then when you say, give me a dragon in the style of Michael Whalen, the machine knows what that means, and it could fart out some garbage that looks like Michael Whalen did it. But if you ask the machine today, paint me a dragon, it'll paint you a dragon. Not in Michael Whalen style, but just in like a generic style that like people have been painting dragons forever. And if you didn't use Michael Whalen's dragons to train the machine, I believe but cannot prove, you would have gotten just about the same dragon. It's not even making that big a difference. It's such a fallacy. That's one of the things that I yelled at people about so much when we were training the machine. You have to curate your data. You have to curate your data. You have to curate a large amount of data. But if you lose a big chunk of it, it doesn't matter. There's so much data that you have to put into the machine that if you lose a chunk because you're not allowed to use it, don't worry about it. It doesn't matter. You can produce more data that goes into it, and it'll work fine. You rapidly get to a point that adding more data doesn't make the model much better. It's just that simple. So we should be building ethical AI models, and we're not. And we should be creating local AI engines that you can run yourself on your computer. And if you are running the system yourself on your computer, you'll notice something. You'll notice something that's really surprising. I mean, it's been a while since I ran anything. I mostly ran Stable Diffusion, okay? But when I told Stable Diffusion to produce hundreds of images, it did not work my graphics card as hard as it works when I'm playing Silent Hill F. Playing a modern video game literally uses more energy than these fucking AI models. So why are we complaining that they're using so much energy? Well, again, I believe but cannot prove the energy usage is a problem caused by, I go to Amazon and they put their fucking AI chatbot in the corner. I go to Bing to run a search. I go to Google to run a search. I run the search and they put a stupid fucking AI summary up at the top. I go to Walmart and I say, hey, what's going on with my package? And they're like, hi, here's our fucking bullshit, garbage, frauding computer machine AI chatbot. The problem is not that the system uses so much energy. The problem is that the system is energy inefficient to use every fucking time I do anything. It's ridiculous. Oh, and the water usage. The water usage is the biggest goddamn lie about artificial intelligence because, number one, it doesn't use up the water. Like, what happens is you got to put X number of gallons of water through the system to cool it, okay? And do you know what happens to the water after it goes through the system? It goes into a tank. And when it cools off, which will happen eventually, we use it again. We recirculate. It's just like, you know that a water-cooled PC doesn't increase your water bill, right? Because it's a closed loop. The system is in a closed loop. It's the same water going through the system. That's the thing. It takes X number of gallons of water to cool this data center. Yes, but we've got those gallons in a tank, and we're using it over and over again. And a lot of this, we're burning like 5 bottles of water every dozen queries. A lot of this is because they're looking at a market that runs on hydroelectric power, and for some dumbass reason, we count the evaporation from the surface of the reservoir as being used. It's not used, it's missing. It's left the reservoir, and we no longer have it. but it's not gone. It's in the air. It's part of the water cycle. It's a lot of it's coming back. That's how water works. I feel like everybody screaming and yelling about everything in the news media is a child. Like, they don't understand fourth grade maths. They don't understand sixth grade science. I don't know how people can be whole adults and still be this fucking stupid. There are people, I don't really want to talk about this in great detail, but I mean, you give it 5 seconds thought and you go, that's wrong in 50 different ways, and I can name 3 of them right off the top of my head. They're trying to build an AI Jesus that you can talk to about your Christian concerns because they think that will hasten the second coming. The second coming is written about. I mean, it's in the Revelation of St. John. That's the apocalypse. The second coming is the end of the world. You want to do this faster? These people are fucked in the head. They're absolutely fucked in the head. Religion has been co-opted by lunatics, and it happened 2,000 years ago. You can tell because it was the fucking the Holy Roman Empire is the beginning of it. The goddamn Catholics. Catholic people aren't bad. The Catholic Church is bad. The Pope isn't even bad. It's the church as an institution. Anyway. I don't want to talk too much about religion. It alienates people. Because I'm fucking weird. And because I think too much about this. And being raised by a Baptist minister and converting to Judaism in my late teens and having a degree in occult science, I can speak in way too much fucking detail about religion. I really can. But let's not do that. The most important thing you can do right now in the age of the garbage farting computer machine being shoved into everything, whether you like it or not, the best thing you can do is create something all by yourself and not use the fucking machine. That's what I'm doing, because it's the best thing you could do. Surprise! The best thing you can do is exactly what I'm doing. Because if I know it's the best thing to do, obviously I'm going to do it. Why would I do something else? There's a way for the technology to be redeemed. I want to be very clear about that. The technology isn't evil. People who use the technology aren't evil. Not strictly speaking evil. It's the institution that's shoving it down your throat. That institution is evil. They fucking suck. Everybody that comes to you and says, it's inevitable. No, it's not. You're a lying sack of shit. Everybody that comes to you and says, oh, just give in and use it. No. This is bad for you. This is absolutely fucking bad for you. You can tell because look at everything else. They're going, we're going to pull down the Department of Education so you can't be educated. Education is bad for you. No, it's not. Vaccines are bad for you. No, they're not. Medicine is bad for you. No, it's not. Everything they're doing in this goddamn administration, they're trying to ruin everything for everyone. And they're trying to make you do shit that's bad for you. And with that administration is going, AI is great. No, it's not. It's bad for you. Don't fucking use it. But they're shoving it down my throat every time I turn around. Spit it out. It's not good for you. Stop it. Stop it. You don't have to use it. I don't use it. I was an engineer working on machine intelligence deep learning systems back in the 90s. I love the promise of artificial intelligence, but we had a number of big questions in the industry that we didn't know how to answer, problems we didn't know how to solve. And we have still not solved them. I don't think we're even trying to solve them. I think we've decided we're just going to fucking live with the problems and know that it's offensive to me as an engineer. It is offensive to me that you would build something you know is broken and go, it's fine. Get the fuck out of my industry. Stop it. The hell? I don't like these people. But I've been sitting around the past few days. There's an artist, Oda Kokoto, who does these amazing, incredible images. And I just sit there and go, oh, man. I wish I could do stuff like this. I mean, it's fantastic. These are just the greatest pieces of work. I love this stuff. It's like, look at these eyes, look at these facial features, look at this mouth. It's so well done and it's so simple. Like, you zoom in to it, okay? It's just a couple of lines. Just a couple of lines, that's all it is. And you look at how over here, you look at how the look at how the light hits in this little pattern. This little pattern. This little bit. The way the lighting is done. It's just, it's so good. It's just, it's incredible how much, oops. I don't want to get rid of all of that. I just want to get rid of these bits that I just outlined. But just that little thing right there, and when we zoom in on this, right here, this lost edge right here in this area, right around here, that is amazing. And the way that they've done the reflected light and the shadow and the plane changes and just the way that it all fits together. I'm awestruck by how good this is. It is just fantastic. And I was looking at it and I was going, why doesn't my work look like this? And I thought about it in a fair amount of detail. And I went, I have invested time in painting faces. And I've invested time in painting the anatomy of the arm and the anatomy of the legs. And I've done some time on feet and hands. But, I've never really buckled in on the torso. And I think the key to buckling in on the torso is to buckle in on the spine. To buckle in on how the vertebrae fit together and how they specifically look and how they specifically fit together into the full-blown spinal column. I've never put a lot of effort into that, and I should put some effort into it. I should look at it in more detail, and I should work on that. And it's like the articulation, how the spine moves. I put some thought into this because Hogarth's work on dynamic anatomy and dynamic figure drawing, they deal with this. The flexion of the spine, the motion of the trunk just in general, and how that fits. This is kind of blurred. Shitty. It's a bad photo. It's a picture taken from Gino Barksay's Anatomy for the Artist, which is a very good book. But he's got these very technical drawings and these very clear kind of diagrams of how everything fits together. Look, you have a penis in your spine. Look, see right there, that's a penis. That is definitely a penis. It's either a penis or a clit. It's one or the other. But look at that. That's absolutely a fucking penis. And that's what they call the axis of the spine. There are two special cervical vertebrae that differ from the rest, and then you have the five under that are pretty much the same. They all look kind of like this, but the top two, the one at the top is called the atlas, okay? And the atlas is what your skull sits on top of. And because your skull sits on top of it, it's articulated differently to allow your skull to move in all the different ways that your head needs to move. But then at the same time, underneath of that, we have the axis. And the axis, most importantly, holds the atlas in place so you don't accidentally sever your spinal cord by whipping your head around too hard. And that's what your spinal penis is for, is to prevent you from whipping your head around too hard and paralyzing yourself. This piece right here, this is what prevents you from destroying yourself by turning your head too fast. So let's dig into this a little bit, and I will attempt to draw some of this shit. Now, I don't want to just copy these drawings. I want to really think about the structure and how they're built. So we've got right here, we've got these two sort of related areas, and they kind of drop down. You can see here we've got one little hollow, and then there's another little hollow under that. There's an edge around there and an edge around there, and coming out from this, there's this bit, and it kind of has back here, and we just mirror the same shape. And then that swoops forward, and you've got this kind of creasy bit right there. So you end up with something kind of like this. And there's another little hollow. I think those little hollows are called fossae. I think that's a fossa that sits there. So your atlas kind of looks like this, and then underneath of that, you have that little hollow. That's what your spine penis sits in, right there. So you got your spine penis. It sits here, and it's got a retracted foreskin underneath of it. God. And you've got these little protrusions underneath of the vertebra that sit in little hollows. And then sticking off to the side, not as far, doesn't look. You've got these bits that stick off to the side there. And those come down, and there's a much more pronounced size to all of this. So that's your top two cervical vertebrae right there. Now let's move this down a bit, and use our transparent brush to get rid of that. Drag this down a bit more, because following that, we come down here and we get the next real cervical vertebrae, and that's got this little dish right here for that to sit in. Then that comes across and down, and then this bit actually folds back out. And again, we've got the little dish bit to sit in. And that continues all the way down. We just have this kind of, these, total of 5 of them. 1, 2, 3. Yeah. That's kind of what you end up with. That was actually very well done. And then that follows in. It's more. Got the bit at the front, bit at the front, bit at the front. You know, there's a tendency when you do this kind of nested thing that your lines will start to diverge, that you'll start to make it into a pyramid sort of thing, and they don't really fit in together. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to do a little transform. Try and get this. Back into shape. I think what I actually do is hit the liquefy. Ooh, I can't liquefy because I'll rasterize this. We'll create a new vector layer and we'll drop down the layer color and we'll go, yeah, I'm there, black. Line art, and then this one is going to be, I don't know, sketch. I guess that works. So yeah, now we got our liquefy. So let's kind of push. Not use the liquefy tool very much, so I'm not very good with it. But there we go. That's more or less the kind of thing that we're looking for on that. This front right here, this front process, front bit that sticks out, that's fairly pronounced. Toolbox is really making a difference in my workflow. It really is. I'm getting more and more used to it. Let's move this down into the sketch area. In fact, let's move it to shading. But it really is making a difference in my workflow, and I've been working on getting more functions together for it. And I'm not used to using all of these just yet, but I am getting there. I am in the process of improving my workflow by looking more at it. So anyway, your spine also has two other kinds of vertebrae. It has the thoracic vertebrae here, which have a really pronounced, like really heavily pronounced spike that comes out of it. And that kind of locks into the next one down right there. That comes down and up here, and then right above this, there's the next vertebrae. So that is an interesting difference in how it's constructed. When you look at the full spine all on its own, like right here, one of the things that I really need to kind of internalize on this is I need to really get used to the question of where the ribs attach. Because each of the thoracic vertebrae has a rib attached to it. Now, this here doesn't really do it justice because it's not as easy to tell from this, but these actually face backwards instead of facing to the side. You've got kind of all of these sort of swivel backwards as you go. They face a little bit more back as you go farther down. And that's what your ribs slot into. And the ribs have this this cartilaginous joint right here that allows them to move. So when you come down to there are rib cage bits here. I pull this, then you can see that we have a sort of a detail on the ribs. And that detail on the ribs gives us kind of, here's the sternum, and up at the top of it you have the manubrium. And then the sternum itself is actually fused pieces of bone. And then underneath of this, you have what's called the xiphoid process. It's a little bone that sticks off of the end. But you see here that what we've got is we've got this area where the clavicle sticks in. And then we've got this area where the first rib attaches. Now, at the next joint, we have another rib attaching and another rib attaching. So what we've got here is we've got 5 ribs that actually attach, and then immediately under this, we have these 2 cartilaginous bits. The first one attaches to 2 ribs, and the second one attaches to 3. And then underneath of that, you have your floating ribs, and this would come out farther. We're just talking structure here, but then your floating ribs are actually coming out, and you've got one that comes most of the way out and one that only comes part of the way out, right, like that. And all of these ribs ultimately connect back to the spinal cord, and each one attaches to a different vertebra. But you can see here we've got the connection of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then there's these 2 little divots right there. Then there's the xiphoid process, and up here at the top of the manubrium is where the clavicle comes in. A lot of this I am getting from another piece of reference, which I will pull up now. So let me close up Barksay. That is an excellent book, by the way, Anatomy for the Artist. It's a classic book. It's not all that expensive, which is interesting. But if we come into Anatomica and we look at the spine, then here we have what's going on with this. Why is that a mess? This right here. That needs to be placed into its proper context. But here's your various vertebrae for in a little bit more detail. This is more of a medical text. This is the axis and the atlas, and it shows these 2 together, and you can see that that on the atlas you have this sort of, don't do that. But you have this sort of top of the column, and then you have this little sort of V shape. So these aren't actually separated. These are connected. So those are connected, and then as you go farther down, as you go down along the spinal vertebrae, you've got the sort of shape. But those are also connected back. These are a much better example of the actual detailed process. Gino Barksay is, of course, trying to he's trying to be useful to an artist, and And this is more trying to be useful to a medical student or somebody who's interested in medicine. So we do have kind of the skeleton. We've got the atlas and the axis, which are right here. The cervical vertebra 1 and 2. Then we got 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and then here is where we get the transverse processes. And as you come farther down, you've got your axis, you've got your atlas, your axis. And then you've got your 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 total cervical vertebrae. So here's the atlas right here. Here's the atlas. Here's the axis. Here are the 5 fungible cervical vertebrae. And then that's where you get, now you see in the front here. Let's see, 1, 7. See in the front here. Here is the. Wait a minute. One, 2, 7. Why does cervical vertebra 7? Now that's the atlas. That's the atlas there. So this is actually, so we've got the atlas. Here's the atlas. We're constantly learning. If you've watched some of my previous videos, you've seen me talk about arm anatomy, and you've seen me talk about how the ball of the humerus sits in the scapula like so, but the scapula has a spine, and that spine wraps around, and then the clavicle comes around. Well, the thing is, I've always represented that as from the side, the shoulder blade comes in here, and the clavicle comes in here. And that's actually not how it works. The way that it works is the spine of the shoulder blade and the clavicle meet over top of the ball of the humerus, right there. So that's how that fits together. You have this kind of bar that sits over the top, and you can see that here when you zoom in. I had that wrong. I always thought the spine of the shoulder blade, okay, came up into the ball of the humerus. I always thought it wrapped around and kind of supported that there, and it worked like a tripod. But that's not how it works. As I look more and more into anatomy, you find out that you fucked stuff up and you got stuff wrong. The clavicle comes directly into the spine of the shoulder blade, and this is the outer section of the humerus. Inside, there's a neck. There's a neck of the humerus, and there's a ball of the humerus that kind of works like this. And this spine of the shoulder blade is going up over top of it. So when you lift your arm, this bit right here, this part gets caught up underneath of the clavicle, and that prevents your arm from going too far up, but also lifts the clavicle. The clavicle is a part of the cervical girdle in a way that I don't see a lot of people talk about, or not the cervical girdle, but the shoulder girdle. But the clavicle is part of how your arm moves. It's not connected to the arm, but when you lift the arm, you can feel your clavicle rise. When you stretch your arm up, you can feel the clavicle's angle change. And that's an important aspect of all of this. I am trying to get used to the button on the scroll wheel of the tour box is very, very sensitive, and when I'm scrolling, I tend to hit it. So I'm trying to zoom in on something and I keep resetting the zoom. And I'm trying to zoom out and it keeps resetting the zoom. And I'm really trying to get my finger used to not pushing that button. Because I'm very frustrated at the idea that I can't use that button. I want to be able to use it. And it seems obvious for it to be reset zoom. But yeah, I need to train myself to not hit that button. So that's why my zooming is going to look like fucked up and weird. Anyway, and the skeleton and the detail of the vertebrae right there. And you have this kind of diagram of the spine right in this area. And you can see here as you go farther back, okay? You start out, you're kind of facing directly to the side, and then it sort of reaches back and faces more to the back. And then you get here, and it faces all the way to the back. It's like inherently. So this is a rib that comes out and only comes part way around. This is a rib that comes out and comes most of the way around. This is the last rib that comes out and actually connects to cartilage that goes up to the sternum. So I'm looking at all of this and really trying to internalize it. Because I feel like that's important. I wish you could double click the tour button, but you can't. And that's very frustrating. Then you got the sacrum. The sacrum is all the way down at the bottom, right here. So here's the last of the lumbar vertebrae right there. Here's the disc at the last of the lumbar vertebrae. And then you can see that actually the sacrum is 5 vertebrae fused together. You've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 vertebrae. And these are what they call the foramen. Foramen. There's 4 of them. That's how you remember what they're called. That's not how you remember what they're called. And then you've got the coccyx at the end, which is, again, a few fused vertebrae. But it can be like anywhere from 3 to 6. So it's like some people only have 3, some people have as many as 6. Some people, they're large enough and there are enough of them that it kind of looks like they have a tail, which is kind of cute and kind of funny. But this is the edge of the sacroiliac joint, because that's where the sacrum connects the sides of the pelvis. Pull a sketch there. But you've got let's pull the sketch. Create a new layer, and we'll take that new layer and we'll go, okay, so see, here is your sacroiliac joint, because here is your iliac crest, okay? And then down here, you get what's called the ischium. And the ischium is analogous to your collarbones. It's a little bit more complicated. There's a little bit more to it than usual. This is a female pelvis and this is a male pelvis. The male pelvis has larger ischial bones They project farther downward. The female has smaller ones, and they tend to be, the entire pelvis tends to be tilted forward. There's a reason for that. Excuse me. And the reason for that, hold on, recovery information. The reason for that is when you get into the chest and abdominal cavities, okay, you've got all this stuff that's in the chest cavity, okay? And let's turn off the spinal reference right there. Here's the rib cage right here, and this is not the greatest example, but yeah. You've got the cartilage that comes down here, and the cartilage that comes down here, and these ribs connect directly to the sternum, okay? And then these ribs don't. They don't connect to the sternum. They connect instead to the rib above them. So these connect to the last rib. These are what are called the false ribs because they never connect to the sternum. They connect to cartilage that connects to the sternum. The rest of them are called true ribs. These 5 are the true ribs. And, well, these 7 are the true. And then we've got these 3 are the false ribs, and then the last 2, which kind of sit down underneath of that, those are the floating ribs. And you can see that right here. The last 2 pairs are not attached to the front and are called floating ribs. Pairs 8 to 10 are known as false ribs because they are only indirectly attached to the sternum. So anyway, what? Oh, I forgot what I was going to say. Oh yeah, the reason that the reason that the female pelvis is tilted forward is because within the abdominal cavity where all of the guts are, okay, women have a uterus, which is about the size of a softball, and it's kind of shoved in there. And if you shove a softball in here, you've got to make room for it. And what you've got is you've got a rib cage and you've got a pelvis, and they've got to move apart. But when you try to move them apart, there's a spine that holds them together along the back. So because there's a spine holding them together along the back, they can't move apart like that. They have to move apart like this. And for a woman to stand upright, she has to lean a little bit forward, so that tilts the pelvis backward. So that's why that happens. It's just structural. It's the same thing with you hear women complain about manspreading. Manspreading is caused when you look at the male and female pelvis. Okay, if you look at the male and female pelvis, the female pelvis has the legs attached in a different place. So because the female pelvis has the legs attached in a different place, when the leg lifts, there's nothing in the way here. The leg lifts, it can lift just fine. It can lift straight up. But when the man lifts his leg, the man can't just lift his leg straight up because the acetabulum is angled. Because the acetabulum is angled, lifting the leg straight up pushes it into the other leg. It would lift like this. So the leg has to expand. It has to extend outward over in this direction. It's the way your bones are shaped, for God's sake. It's just the way it is. And no, it doesn't have anything to do with you got stuff hanging down in the middle there. That's not related. That's got nothing to do with that. That is probably why the bones are this way. But it's not to prevent you from crushing them. It's so when you sit down, when you lift your legs spread, and because your legs spread, the smell goes out into the area around you. Smell is important to animals. So that's a thing nobody really likes to think or talk about, but it's important. It's a thing that needs to be thought and talked about. Anyway. Anyway, I'm doing a lot of looking at the spine and just kind of this is like almost an hour. So I have talked a lot about what's going on, and I think that covers things fairly well. Another thing, the female pelvis, the sacrum kicks out more. The end of the spine, sacrum kicks out more. Part of that is because the pelvis is tilted, but not all of it. It's like it's literally kicked out further from the main body of the pelvis. It's different on a bone structure level. And I'm looking at this, and it basically says that the spine is twice as thick as I've been imagining it. You've got these kind of spine bits that poke out at the skin, and then you've got the throat up front. So you've kind of got, I've always envisioned there's sort of a diamond shape at the top, and then you've got your neck, and then you've got your head on top of the neck, like so. And there's a throat in the front, which connects to the underside of the jaw. And then you've got the spine in the back. But I've always kind of thought of the spine as being right here, and it's not. The spine is in the center. And then there's this kind of bit that sticks farther to the back. And then you add on top of that the idea that here's the shoulder blade, and here's that spine, and there's the clavicle, and you sort of get this little cage looking thing. And underneath of the clavicle, we've got that first rib. Kind of comes around like so. It's fairly tight. We got the first rib that comes around, and then here these will connect to the manubrium, and then this rib will connect just underneath of it. And get another one over here. Swing back. Vertebra there. So kind of what I'm thinking about here is the here's the bone section of what we're looking at. So anyway, fight back against the garbage farting computer machine. It's not inevitable. It's not required. You don't have to use it. Do your own shit. Build your own shit. Study things. Get good at things. It's important. And okay, bye.